Good morning and good afternoon for all of you. Thank you so much for being again here in a new session of Bizagi Pulse. Welcome everyone for this April session. This Bizagi Pulse, as I mentioned to you last month, is the new image and let's say the renovated image of what it was used to call Bizagi's Process Professor. Our objective with Bizagi Pulse is that we can have these type of sessions where we can talk about different topics and information that are relevant for us and that we can transform business through automation, right? So let me just explain you a little bit, a couple details about the Bizagi Pulse program before that we actually jump into the topic that we have for this month, right? So in general, what you are going to find is that every single version or every single session of the Bizagi Pulse program will occur once per month. Specifically, we will be having these sessions the third Wednesday of every single month. We will have one session in English and one session in Spanish. And the idea is that for every single session, we try to follow something like this, right? Like a quite common standard or a quite common structure on every single session. However, it can happen that from session to session, we have different structure, different information. But the idea is that always when you attend one of these Bizagi Pulse sessions, you can come here and you can expect that at the beginning, we will be talking about one general topic. This topic can be one specific feature that we have within our platform, maybe one trend that we have identified within the market, maybe the release of a whole new version in our platform. Then we will have a second big session here that it is going to be a live demonstration of our platform. The idea is that you can actually use these type of sessions to see something working, that actually, that if there is something that maybe you don't understand completely clear about one way or one feature that we have within the platform, you can see it live, like working, the steps that you must to follow, the configuration that you have to do. And at the end, every single Bizagi Pulse session will end with a Q&A or an open Q&A session or time for you. Something really important about this open Q&A session is that the questions that you can actually ask on this Q&A doesn't have to be related to the topic that we're covering on every single session. It's actually open, right? So if for any reason you watch a video or a previous video and you still have questions about, let's say, ADA, or you want to ask something about the Bizagi Experience Matrix, it's fine. This Q&A space is actually open for whatever you want and for any type of question that you have. So this is the structure that actually we have on the Bizagi Pulse program. The idea is that you can actually take full advantage of these sessions, that you can hear from different experts what is happening within our company and what kind of solutions you can get, right? So with all this introduction, I want to officially actually welcome to the April Bizagi Pulse session, the place where we are transforming businesses through automation. This specific session of April is really special. This one is going to be about one really important topic that we have, that is the Bizagi's role in the SAP Clean Core strategy. My name is Kevin Guerrero. I am the technical marketing manager here in Bizagi, and today I am really lucky to have next to me Ernesto Castro. So I want to actually first thanks Ernesto for being here and give him the opportunity to present himself on his own.
Thank you, Kevin. Anytime. Yeah, my name is Ernesto Castro. I'm a solutions consultant here with Bizagi. Very happy to be here with you. And I will, as Kevin said, I will be delivering a very short demo about Bizagi being integrated with SAP. Thanks again.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you, Ernesto. Then this is what we have, right? And this is what actually I maybe even announced last month, and it is the objective with Bizagi Pulse is that also we can have this. We can have different experts that help us with these sessions and that they can show us all the knowledge and all the best practices that they have with us. So following this, so let's jump directly to what we will be covering today and the information that we will be talking at this point, right? So everything that we will be covering at this moment, it is going to be actually about what it is the Bizagi's role in the SAP Clean Core strategy. So to cover and to understand in detail what is all of this about, I want to start with a really quick introduction about these general terms about what is SAP Clean Core, right? So when we're talking about SAP Clean Core, what we're talking about, why this is so important, why even this the SAP itself is actually promoting this so bad, and it is actually putting a lot of advice to their customers to actually follow this strategy, right? Then we will just go into deep details of how actually Bizagi fit in that SAP Clean Core strategy, how we can support that strategy, what we can do, and what are the different type of capabilities that we have within our platform that actually allow Bizagi to support the SAP Clean Core strategy. Then we will just jump with what it will be everything in charge of Ernesto, right? So we will be seeing the different out-of-the-box connectors that Bizagi offers to do those integrations with SAP. And as Ernesto mentioned, he's going to just run a really quick demo for you to see exactly how all of this actually works, what are those great advantages that you have, and that actually you can identify how easily is for you to actually do the integration between these two platforms. And for sure, we will just finish with an open Q&A, right? So let's start with Bizagi and the SAP Clean Core strategy, right? And before to even get into this, right, here we are going to have a really quick definition of what is this one. I would like to give you maybe even some background, right, or some history about the way on how SAP has been working for many years in the market, and why actually now or some time ago SAP is actually promoting and actually putting so much, let's say, attention to what it is called this SAP Clean Core strategy, right? So one of the first thing is many years ago, and a lot of companies around the world, they start working with SAP a lot, right? Many years ago, all the SAP installations and configurations were actually full on-prem configuration. So it means that SAP went into those customers, do the installation of an SAP, and then they left, right? They give full power to the customers, and every single of those customers actually start doing the customization of their SAP systems, right? So they were the one that started saying like, okay, this is the installation that I have. This is the values that we're going to get it into this particular point. And now what I would like to just have, or what I would like to have here, is to start adding maybe additional configurations or additional features into my SAP configuration, right? So what it will happen if I need something that it was not in the default installation, right? What if maybe what I was looking for, it was not part of the default features or capabilities that were offered to actually SAP. So a lot of customers decided to go and start doing the customization, right? And they start adding maybe some integrations, adding additional systems, maybe changing even some structures within the database, like a lot of stuff just for meet the business requirements that they want. And let's say that that was okay for a lot of time, right? However, now that a lot of customers or a lot of strategies of those customers are being aligned on, look, what we want to have now, it is actually to be a cloud company. We want to have cloud strategy. We want to integrate with cloud-ready systems. Now, SAP appears in the radar as one of those systems that we need to migrate to the cloud. And here is where a big challenge actually appears for a lot of customers, right? And one of those challenges is, what are we going to do? How we are going to actually move these huge, complex, and even difficult SAP systems, right, that we have on-prem to the cloud. And here is where now we found, or we see these SAP Clean Core strategies that is being promoted more and more and more, even from the same SAP, right? And the whole idea is, look, the objective is that you can have a journey that you can continue using SAP. Yes, that's fine. The idea is that we empower SAP to be the best of what they do. Is completely okay that. But our idea is that actually we try to keep SAP as clean as possible, without customizations, without changing too much even the structure of the database, without actually maybe adding too many customizations in terms of the calculations or the validations. So in general is how we can reduce the complexity of the SAP to be as close as possible as the default integration or default installation that is being provided by SAP from the beginning. And why, let's say, this is so important for a lot of customers? What is the value if a customer is able to actually meet these SAP guidelines? First is that they are going to be more agile in terms that when you have a SAP that is fully standardized, then the configurations, the processes, and everything that you have from SAP is by default. And for that reason, you can actually go quicker in terms of the changes that you want to apply, right? If for any reason you want to access or you want to get the latest capabilities of the SAP platform, then you actually can do it this one in a much better way if you have an standard SAP, right? Because you don't have to go and see, okay, look, this customization does not apply in the new version that we are going to release. So that is where difficult configurations start to appear, and where even the migrations or the upgrades are going to start being difficult, right? You can actually have even better integrations with other elements, because once that you simplify your SAP landscape, then you are going to have even a standard integration with other systems, and this is going to avoid a lot of problems with customers. One of the things that we have seen with some of our customers is that at some point, as a temporary solution, when SAP were not able to meet some of the business conditions, there were a lot of temporary solutions or even workarounds that customers start doing, developing integration with other systems, but like in the long term, that actually was like a little nightmare for some of those customers. So having this context and having this information and the whole background, then how Bizagi can actually jump into the middle and start helping some of our customers with what we want. So one of the first things is that Bizagi have this strategy that is grab and extend, right? So the idea of this grab and extend is like, look, we can surround, or we can grab SAP, we can do all the customizations that are required, we can orchestrate multiple systems. Your SAP can be in the middle, right? With a clean core approach, meaning no customization or as minimum customizations as possible. And with Bizagi, you can do all the extensions that you want. So if you want to customize a process on top of SAP, that's something that you will be able to do with SAP with Bizagi. If you want to create an application that use Bizagi processes, but at the same time orchestration with SAP components, that's something that you will be able also to do with Bizagi. So the main objective of what we will be able to have it here, it is Bizagi fits into this clean core strategy that SAP suggests and promotes with a lot of their customers, basically following or having these main characteristics. From one side, Bizagi will have a seamless integration and orchestration between Bizagi and SAP. And actually, Ernesto is going to talk about this in more detail, because we actually have some out-of-the-box connectors ready to use, no coding needed, that you can just use it, put it in your project, and start doing this integration and orchestration between Bizagi and SAP, right? Now, the customization of the processes is something that now you will be able to do thanks to a flexible, simplified, and even intuitive platform as Bizagi, right? So whatever it is required to extend the capabilities of SAP can be done easily within Bizagi with all the powerful tools that we have within our platform. And finally, thanks to all the major capabilities that we add or that we introduce in the latest versions, or in the versions that we released last year as the one of Bizagi apps, you can actually improve a lot the experiences, the employee experiences and the customer experiences when they are working with Bizagi. Why? Because mainly you will be able to create now custom applications, or that is where we got our value proposition in the market, right? Like modern applications, but powered by processes. So there are going to be modern applications with a lot of flexibility to create and to customize that, but that always as a backbone of those applications, you are going to find the processes that allows you to orchestrate people, systems, bots, whatever is required, but with just one single experience that is going to be the one that Bizagi offers to those users. Now, if we talk about the way on how actually SAP is promoting this, right, or even which are the suggestions that SAP is giving to the customers, like how customers can achieve this. So one of the first things is that SAP is actually aware that the conditions and the context of every single customer is unique, and because of that, we need to understand that customers individually. However, one of the things that they are explaining is, in general, what you can do to start aligning and to start having a clean core strategy in your SAP is that you can focus on 5 different dimensions, right? The extensibility, data, integrations, processes, and operations. In general, Visagi offers different capabilities within the platform that supports actually these different dimensions. However, let's say that, okay, yeah, no. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. I lost my connection and I don't know why. But yeah, okay, so don't worry. Let me just recap. Sorry about that one. But yeah, so basically SAP say, look, at the end, it's completely different if a new customer or if a new customer is starting with a whole new clean instance that they have, right? Actually, maybe even on the cloud, that actually a customer that maybe has been working with us for a lot of years and they have a lot of customizations, but you should try to focus on these dimensions. So in the 3 big ones that Visagi supports, right? So from one side, we're going to have data, integrations, and processes. So from one side, or from the point of view of the data, what we say is, look, we have a lot of capabilities within our platform that allow us, or that supports what it is, the data quality management, right? So it means here we're going to help you a lot, right, to be completely sure that the data that is being stored in Visagi, but also in SAP, meet the quality or the standards that you want, right? And at the same time, with the flexibility and the different capabilities that actually are required here in Visagi, we provide a lot of features to actually standardize the data, the business rules, the format, even clean some of data that is not required. From the point of view of the integrations, right? So Visagi basically connects really easy and in a really simple way. We will see it later in detail with Ernesto, right? That allows, or that supports, that it does not matter even which SAP system or which SAP configuration you have. We can integrate with that configuration in a really easy way. And you will see that actually the integrations capabilities that we have in Visagi are actually or followed a lot approaches that use a lot of wizards. So it means it decreases the complexity of the integrations, right? And finally, in the last dimension, so definitely we are going to have what it is, processes, right? So important things that we're going to have it here, it is that we can, yes, we have a lot of tools within our platform that allow us to do everything that is required for us, right? So in terms of customize a process, modify the process, create a new version of the process, document those processes, whatever is required, it's going to be available within the platform and is going to be available in a really easy way, right? So now, the way on how actually Visagi and the SAP will work, just to wrap up really quickly this section, is this one, right? So with Visagi, you can integrate this platform, you can integrate Visagi within your SAP Clean Core strategy in order to facilitate every single migration that you want to do, maybe for an S/4HANA in the cloud, right? You can simplify the customizations that you want to do. You can actually have end-to-end process visibility. That is one of the great advantages that you have when you use one platform as Visagi, right? That at the end, what you are doing is that you have a simple platform that orchestrate a lot of systems, people, data, bots, artificial intelligence, whatever is required. But at the end, it always gives you this end-to-end visibility when it is required, right? And something important is that all these advantages, all these benefits is not something that we are just the ones that are saying these and that we're promoting. No, actually, what we have is that we have multiple use cases where actually these out-of-the-box connectors, so the integrations that we have with Visagi, is helping a lot of customers. So the first thing that maybe I want to highlight are maybe some of the most common integration use cases that follows this idea that we are promoting with Visagi, that is the grab and extend, right? So here, basically, in some way, what we're saying is, look, at this point, there are a lot of use cases that can be used with this grab and extend strategy. Some of the most common ones are those processes that maybe are part of the supply chain, right? So processes where you can actually be having manufacturing or procurement, right? But also at the same time, the ones that you want to use to have finance, right? So if you want to have processes where pricing's approval must to happen, or where you want to manage and control master data, right? When I want to control the information of customers, vendors, suppliers, orders, products, shipping orders, whatever is required, all these master and all this information can actually fit at this point and can help to control this point. So here again, it is Bizagi will be grabbing the SAP system, and in the middle or in the heart of those systems, what we're going to find is an SAP as clean as possible when it is required. And we have some a lot of spaces where actually we have a lot of success stories with a lot of customers here, and that we can actually support this part, right? So at the end, it doesn't matter where in the supply chain life cycle you are working, right? It doesn't matter if it is in the logistics, or if it is in the retail, or if it is in manufacturing, or if it is in production, or if it is in vendor management or in sourcing, whatever is required, we can have a lot of things here that allows you, right? So if you are managing orders, right, and you have one full application to control your orders, right, and order management, so that is a place where you can create an application with Bizagi, having as a backbone a process that orchestrate SAP and multiple systems at the same time, and that give you visibility when it is actually required. And just to maybe wrap up this point, and that you have maybe some idea of some success case stories, I would like to just finish with two big customers that actually are following these integrations with SAP, and that actually it has helped a lot to them to fit the SAP clean core strategy here. So from one side, we're going to have Transalta as one of the customers that we have here. This is one of the largest renewable power sources and producers in North America, and actually is also one of the largest producers of wind power in Canada. And when we start working with Transalta, they were having a lot of, let's say, problems with the way on how they were managing and controlling different supply chain management processes, specifically for the ones that were how to manage and how to control RFX, right? RFQ, RFI, RFP, every single type of RFX in general were difficult to control, difficult to manage. They will have maybe a lot of data going into emails or different systems, and it was not easy in some way. So they create, right, one integration with us, that they start working with us in Bizagi, and also at some point they realized that for them were really important to actually update information about the vendors that were actually information that was stored in the SAP. So their decision was, we will use the out-of-the-box connector, we will integrate with that part, and Bizagi is going to be that front end that our end users or our employees will be working, and all the integrations and all that update on information will happen is thanks to the integrations that we have with Bizagi. On the other hand, we have another example that is OSI, right? This is a global supplier for actually custom value-added food. They are located in 18 different countries and have facilities in 65 different locations. And they decide to start using actually Bizagi to do one really important and relevant process for them, that was everything in terms of the onboarding of new vendors. As a company that supply a lot of type of foods, right? Like different type, right? Like they have from sausage or Mexican food. They have a lot of, like, the options and the different offers that they have is huge. They have a lot of type of vendors. So one of the decisions that they did was actually also to start using the integration that we have with SAP to not go and customize the SAP systems, and instead of that all the customization, that all the updates, that actually those processes that are required to do operations within the SAP actually happens in Bizagi, right? And that they can manage and control the whole onboarding process of the new vendors within the Visagi platform. These are two successful stories, customers in the real life that actually are using these integrations that we offer with Visagi, and that this supports their SAP Clean Core strategy, right? So with this, I am going to just go now, do a hands over to Ernesto. We're going to go now into a little bit more details in what is going to be the connectors and how they work. So Ernesto, welcome again into the stage.
Thank you, Kevin. So yeah, let's start by explaining, the connectors that we do have and we offer with Visagi. So as we're going to see here in the next slide, Visagi offers different flavors of connectors, right? So you know that SAP has been out there for a long time. Visagi has been out there for a long time as well. So, through all this history, different technologies and different forms to be integrated were available. So as you can see here on the right side, we do offer, native connectivity to on-premises versions of SAP, and that's using the traditional RFC approach under BAPIS. But now we also support SAP BT Platform Connector, and that means that this is a more service-oriented type of connector, and that will be used as a single gateway to integrate Visagi with multiple SAP instances. And we do have the two options, and they can be used at the same time even. So in the next slide, we are going to see a little bit deeper how the BTP platform approach works. So with Visagi, something that we did is that we created an application dispatcher. And what this allows us to do is to actually have a seamless integration with SAP. With this, we can enable native wizards within Visagi to handle this integration. So the configuration is going to be done very easily. I'm going to show you that actually in the demo later, that we just need to follow wizards, select objects, but no actually any technical configuration whatsoever. And the cool thing about this is that with a single like connection string or a single connection point, SAP, the BT platform, is going to allow us to have multiple connections to multiple systems on the back. So let's go to the next slide, Kevin, please. And we are going to see here, yeah, okay. So as anything in Visagi, the way to configure this connector is going to be very simple. So we are going to follow a simple three-step process, which basically are going to be, configure the connector itself, that's the connection string, then select the SAP services that we are going to use. Visagi is going to list them for us. And from those services that we are going to select, we need to select which entities and which actions specifically we are going to use. So let's go deeper into each one of these steps. The first one, to configure or create the SAP connector. As you can see, it's just a wizard. We just need to configure the connection to the BT platform. The BT platform by itself is going to get connected to the different instances. That's what you see on the bottom part of the wizard. It's called destination. So we can select multiple destinations in a single Visagi project, and that's very, very powerful. The next step is actually selecting the actions that we are going to use from the connector. The services, sorry. So from here, you will be able to see that Visagi exposes or presents all the possible services provided by the SAP's API, and we just need to select the one that we are going to work with. Once we select these services, the final step is actually define which actions and entities we are going to work with. So in this case, we need to define, okay, we are going to use the create, we are going to use the get, and from those actions, which attributes are we going to be the ones that we need to map into our own implementation. Once we configure all these things, the next step is actually map that information or invoke those actions in our process. And this is going to be the same integration wizard that we've been using with all the possible connectors that we have in Visagi, and that's very, very important because regardless of the technology, we use the same approach. And finally, of course, we can manage errors and we can see what's happening, and all those things are going to be managed by Visagi. So what we are going to do today is show you a very high-level demo of how this actually works in Visagi. So now that you're seeing my screen, the first thing is that I created a very simple app in Visagi that is going to help me to create sales orders in SAP. I mean, I start to create this app, and I do already have some things already working. So for example, if I want to read an SAP customer, I mean, I can do it. There is already an integration in place. So I just need to search for that customer with the ID. And this actually already went to SAP, brought the information and mapped the information into Bizagi. And once that information is brought into Bizagi, I mean, that customer is going to be listed in my app. But something that is missing is that I want to have the option to actually create sales orders in SAP from here. I don't have the option yet. So let's make the change. Let's expand SAP capabilities. Let's use Bizagi to make that happen. What you're seeing here is my experience matrix that defines that app. And I'm just missing that action. I want the account executive to be able to create sales orders related to each customer. So let's create a new process action. And let's name this, let's say, create a sales order, right? And I'm going to reuse a process that I previously created. I mean, but it's not completed yet. This is the thing that we're going to finish later. Let's use this in every single situation. And with this, let's go to the process wizard and let's start modifying that process that we just selected. So here we have the process. As you can see, we have only the initial activity, the initial step, but we're missing all the other steps. So let's modify this process. And I know that I need the manager to approve these requests. And I know that finance needs to have a final review about this. So let's modify this process. And with this, let's send this to approval by the manager, right? And the manager can approve or not, right? If he does not approve, this is going to go back to the requester for him to fix it. And once he fixes it, it's going to go back to the manager. So let's move this here. Let's move this here. If this is approved, we are going to actually send the information to SAP, right? This is going to be an automatic task. So let's make this a script task. And later we are going to send this to finance for review, right? So we have our whole process. Oh, I like this to be in this place. So let's save this again. So we complete our process. And the next thing that we need to do is to actually modify or create the forms that we are going to use. This is the one that we're going to use in our demo. So in Bizagi, as you know, everything is reusable. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. So let's copy from the first step, it's already there. Let's say that this is something that we need. We don't need this user to modify this, right? And we just need to add, the couple of fields to approve and add some comments. So let's add those fields in here, right? And some comments. And let's say that this needs to be required. We can add some business rules in Bizagi for this. This is going to be a very simple example, but as you can see, it's very, very powerful. So we save our form. Let's don't modify this once. We are not going to use this ones in this demo. But the next thing that we need to do is to define the business rule that is going to allow us to go here or here. So this is going to depend on the approval of the manager. So we can create a new business rule. Everything is going to be graphical. So we can create complex logic from a graphical perspective. And this is going to be the else condition. Once we do that, the next step of the process is to define who is going to do what. So this is going to be done by the manager. So we can select the manager. He's a specific persona that was previously created. This is going to be a persona in the finance team. So let's select finance. And this one is the same user who created the case. So that's a predefined rule in Bizagi. Again, being able to do things fast is very important. So let's select case creator and we're done. Now, what's missing? We need the integration with SAP to be configured. So let's go to the expert view. We have the external systems configuration. As you can see here, we have different ways, the BT platform approach and the legacy approach. I already have this one configured to a specific instance in the cloud, right? But the thing that I need to add is the action to actually create the sales order. The only one that I have that you saw before being used is the getting customer one. So I'm just going to add a new action, and this is going to be the one to create sales orders. So as you can see, every single service is going to be offered by Bizagi out of the box. But I'm just going to say, okay, I need to use the API sales order, and this is the one that I know that I'm going to use. And the third step is to configure this to create instances in SAP. What are the attributes that we are going to send? We are going to send the sales order type. We are going to send the sold to party, and we are going to send the sales order date. And finally, we just need to send the items of that sales order. And I know that these are these ones, the items. So with that, we configure the connector. Now, what we need to do? Just to call that connector from our process. So we go here to actions. We come to our automatic step. We select SAP. We select BT platform, the environment that was configured, the method that we just selected. And from here, we just need to map information from one side to the other. So from customer, we have customer is sold to party. Sales order type, we need to send the code to sales order type, right? Sales order number is the sales order, right? And sales order date is sales order date. Now the items we have here, the items are going to be here, and we are going to send, for now, we are going to send the quantity, and we are going to send the actual product. That in SAP is going to be called material, right? So we have everything already in place. We are not going to get a response, finish, and this is okay. So we complete our configuration. We just refresh our solution, and we come back to test this as an end user. So we have here, for example, this a customer. We now have the action to create a sales order. Within this user, everything is mapped automatically. No extra effort in there. We just select some data that is required, right? The division and this organization, and let's add a couple of products. Let's say that we are going to add a couple of bikes, maybe this specification, and maybe one of this specification. And once we save all this information, we just need to submit this. Something very important, we created a complete process, so an approval process that happens before we send this information to SAP. Of course, that process is reflected here that we can check as an end user. We know that this is now assigned to Susan, so we need to now go and log in as Susan. So I already have Susan here in place. That new sales order creation request is in her inbox. You just need to come here and see that request. We see the information, non-editable as we defined. Okay, and we just need to send this to SAP. So we are going to send this to SAP, right? So the order should be created in SAP, but let's make sure that this is right. So we have this number here, the order number 312. And let's go to the SAP environment. I have here the SAP environment that we're working with. Let's look for this specific sales order, right? And if we look, that sales order, let's see that this is in process. We have the SAP, the sales order in here. and we see the 2 bags that we send with the specific quantity and the specific customer, so we can confirm that all the information was already sent to SAP. So what's the main message? I mean, 10 minutes, something like that. We were able to create a complete process. We were able to add the forms, the work allocation. We define the connector. We configure that connector, and we make it work. So with that, back to you, Kevin.
Excellent, Ernesto. Thank you so much for that. That was actually quite cool, quite great. The way on how actually all of this works, and once again, maybe the main message behind all of this is how easy, how intuitive, and how quickly we can just create these configurations and create these customizations in Bizagi, and actually even empower or even give much more power to SAP. Using this approach and the information that we got into this particular point. So with this, I think we're getting close to the end of our session. Before that, we take a look to a couple last of things that we are going to handle and that we're going to review. I just want to thanks everyone for your attention, for your participation on this Bizagi Pulse session. The invite is that you register for the next one. Remember that we also have enabled now the option that allows you to register constantly or permanently to the Bizagi Pulse sessions. So it means that when you go to the Bizagi Pulse website and you are registering for one of the sessions, you are going to find a checkbox. If you decide to check that box, you are going to be automatically registered for every month Bizagi Pulse session, and in that way you don't have to worry about going every single month to actually register on this one. So once again here, thank you so much for your attention, thank you so much for your time. The next Bizagi Pulse session will be on May, and we really appreciate the time that you spent with us today.